Again, a good evening to everybody there in the Philippines, and this is Coach Poy Delara, and I welcome you to the second episode of our Never Settle series for the month of September, Awakening to the Life That You Truly Deserve. Okay, so ngayon yung second episode natin is gonna be focused on the psychology of self. When you say psychology of self, is how you take a look at yourself. I'm gonna be tackling six different um, terminologies or six different ways on how you see yourself. Right? Hindi lang ako, hindi lang kayo, kundi lahat tayo ay meron nito. And bakit ito importante dito sa ating Never Settle series? Because how you see yourself would basically define how you value yourself. Okay? So, doon tayo magsimula. Sabi nila, authentic confidence daw can only come from having genuine understanding of yourself. So, doon mo malalaman what you deserve, what you don't deserve, kung nasaan ka na, kung paano mo nakikita yung sarili mo. So, marami tayong mga terms na tatalakayin dito like self-esteem, self-concept, self-worth, self-awareness, self-knowledge, and self-belief. So, iisa-isahin natin yon. Now, I do suggest that you have a notebook or a journal kasi meron akong mga questions on how you could understand yourselves better. Okay? So, dumako tayo sa self-esteem. Madalas, sinasabi natin, mababa ang self-esteem yan. Lagi natin siya napagko-compare sa self-confidence, di ba? Self-esteem stems from the impression we have on ourselves. Kung paano natin siya nakikita, how we feel about ourselves sometimes, and how we perceive ourselves. Alright? So, kadalasan yung self-esteem is how we perceive or see ourselves at the present moment. Saan ba nanggagaling yung self-esteem natin? Well, sometimes we draw validation and acceptance that we're okay from other people or from other circumstances. So, pag sinabi natin na uh, nung may mga ginawa tayo na naging matagumpay naman, na naging maganda yung kinalabasan, di ba? Most of the time, ang nangyayari is we add value to ourselves. Okay? So, ang nangyayari kasi, minsan, we add value, minsan naman, nade-devalue tayo pagdating dun sa mga bagay na uh, na hindi natin nagagawa ng tama or those things that we feel that we didn't do enough. Alright? Nagkakaroon tayo ng devaluation sa sarili natin. Kagaya ng kung paano natin binavalue pag yung sarili natin sa tuwing nababalidate um, yung ating mga ginagawa or mga nagagawa sa ibang tao, ganun din natin na de-devaluate yung ating sarili. All right. So in your pens and using your pens and journal or notebook, I need you to answer some of the questions. Diba? Ito rin yung mga questions na sinagot ko dati on how do I see myself when it comes to the concept of self-esteem. So, how do you feel? Question number one is, how do you feel about yourself right now, right this moment? Anong nararamdaman mo tungkol sa sarili mo? Di ba? Nararamdaman mo ba na yung sarili mo maraming kaya? Nararamdaman mo ba that you're weak? Nararamdaman mo ba na kawawa ka? Nararamdaman mo ba na wala kang kayang gawin? Nararamdaman mo ba na talunan ka? Nararamdaman mo ba that you're a winner, you're a victor? Nararamdaman mo ba na biktima ka? Nararamdaman mo ba na inferior ka dun sa mga kasamahan mo sa trabaho? Nararamdaman mo ba na mas magaling ka dun sa mga kasamahan mo sa trabaho? How do you feel about yourself right now? Second, how you have felt about yourself in the past, 'di ba? How did you feel about yourself in the past? Ano nung nakaraan, nung high school ka, how do you see yourself? 'Di ba? Were you friendly? Easygoing ka ba? Nakikipagkaibigan ka ba? Nakikipagsalamuha ka ba? Kung hindi, bakit? All right? Third question is, has your self-esteem improved or decreased since then? Mula nung high school ka, or mula nung elementary ka, or mula nung bata ka, nag-improve ba yung self-esteem mo o hindi? Kung oo, nag-improve, sa palagay mo, bakit? Kung hindi nag-improve, sa palagay mo, bakit? Alright? Second, or fourth, would you consider yourself having high or low self-esteem? So, sabi ko nga, yung self-esteem mo is the impression that you have on yourself at the present moment. So, yung self-esteem mo ba, high or low? Diba? Next, can you pinpoint when your self-esteem was at the highest and at the lowest? Kailan ka mas naging confident sa sarili mo? Kailan ka mas naging nagtiwala sa sarili mo? Anong panahon yung nakita mo yung sarili mo na lahat kaya mo? Or kailan naging very, very low yung self-esteem mo to the extent na feeling mo hindi mo kaya ang lahat? Alright? So, at ano ang ginagawa mo nung mga panahon na iyon? Okay? Next. If you could describe yourself in just 5 words, what would they be? Just 5 words, describe yourselves. Di ba? At paano mo i-describe yung sarili mo? Okay? Next. Is it positive or is it negative? Okay? So, yun. Last question is, do you rely entirely on external validation for positive self-esteem? So, saan ka nakabase? Yung self-esteem mo, saan mo binabase? External validation ba? Dahil ba sa ibang tao? Dahil ba sinasabi ng ibang tao? Palagi kang pinupuri ng ibang tao? Dahil ba palagi kang sinasabihan ng ibang tao na magaling ka? Dahil palagi bang binabalidate ng sarili mo na or ng ibang tao na magaling kang tao sa ginagawa mo? Okay? So, sa external validation ba or you feel sa sarili mo na okay ka or you have you're confident that you can do anything? Diba? So, that is what we call self-esteem. Next naman, kung self-esteem is the present, diba, meron naman tayong tinatawag na self-concept. So, yung self-concept natin is base ito sa continuous evaluation and comparison natin sa sarili natin. Okay? So, we are all in a constant state of self-evaluation and comparison. While self-esteem focuses on how we feel about ourselves at the present moment, self-concept concentrates on who we wish we could be. Sino, ano yung desired state natin? Ano yung sa palagay mo? Sa palagay mo ba magiging doktor ka? Sa palagay mo ba magiging abogado ka? Sa palagay mo ba magiging presidente ka ng Pilipinas? Diba? Self-conception is an idealized version of ourselves. So, kung ano yung ideal state mo, kung ano yung desired state mo, di ba? The person we wish we could possibly and eventually become. Di ba? Sabi ko nga, where the focus goes, the energy flows, di ba? So, kung nakafocus tayo on being the best version of ourselves, kung yun yung desired state mo, yun yung pupuntahan ng lahat ng energy mo. So, ganun din tayo. Diba? Power of attraction. Kung nabasa nyo na yung libro na yun, ganun. So, isipin nyo lang. Of course, hindi nyo lang iisipin, di ba? Kailangan din niyang gumawa. Di ba? Kailangan din niyong gawin or mag-undergo or mag-undergo ng transition from your current state to your desired state. And kadalasan, dun nga sa transition period na yun, dun tayo nahihirapan. Meron tayong mga tinatawag na low frustration tolerance. Yung tinatawag natin ng low frustration tolerance, siya yung from the present state to the desired state, meron siyang transition period. Dun sa hindi naman yung change ang hindi natin makakaya. Ang ayaw natin is the process, the journey from point A to point B. Okay? So, dun sa transition stage na yun, nahihirapan tayo, may mga pagsubok, may mga hurdles, may mga nagdi-discourage natin, di ba? Kadalasan, dun sa gitna na yon, doon tayo bumibigay na maybe that desired state isn't worth it. Di ba? Maybe yung mga tao na yon is tama na hindi ko kayang gawin, hindi ko kayang maabot uh, yung desired state ko na yun. See, if you don't have a self-concept, di ba? If you don't have self-conception to work towards the end, we end up not trying anything in life. Kasi wala tayong papupuntahan eh. Wala tayong vision, wala tayong focus. Di ba? Which in turn propagates the ideas of low self-worth and low self-esteem. Diba? Without self-concepts, we always get disheartened. Diba? Dun sa mga gusto nating gawin sa ating mga kaibigan, kapag hindi tayo nagkakaroon ng, sinubukan nating tumulong, pero hindi naman sa palagay natin, hindi naging effective yung pagtulong natin. Diba? It's all about how we see ourselves, how we look at ourselves, how we conceptualize ourselves. People with no self-conception are those who have never been taught to visualize themselves. So, meron tayo exercise. If you can close your eyes for just a few minutes, diba? And then properly breathe. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Pakinggan ninyo kung ano ang sinasabi ng mind ninyo, ng heart ninyo, ng gut ninyo, di ba? Who do you want to be in life? Where would you like to go sa mga susunod na taon? Saan nyo gustong manirahan? Define who is it that you're willing to become for the rest of your lives. Who are you no longer willing to be? What are your personal goals, both in professional and personal? What do you see yourself doing in 5 years? What do you have hoped to have accomplished in 5, 10, 20 years' time? What are the negative behaviors or aspects in life that you want to have overcome? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Do you know what paths you want to take? In your ideal state, what are you like? Kapag narating mo na yung state na yun, ano yung nabe-visualize mo sa sarili mo? Okay, people, you have to have a self-concept. Without that, lahat tayo dapat nabe-visualize natin yung sarili nyo. Hindi, Coach Poy, kasi meron nga tayong tinatawag na YOLO, di ba? You only live once. No. Di ba? You only live once, but you have to have that life worth it. Yung pagdaan mo dito sa earth na to, it has to be worth it. All the time. Dapat mag-iwan ka ng legacy mo. Dapat magkaroon ng purpose yung pagdaan mo dito kung nasan man tayo ngayon, nasa earth, nasa mundo, diba? Nasa lupa. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a constant vision of who you want to become in yourself. That is self-concept. If you want to work with the self-conception, you can always send me a message, right? Via WhatsApp, please, and also a private message using this page, the Poy de Lara page. Right? So, dalawa na yung natakal natin, self-esteem, saka self-concept. I think, basically, nagkakaroon na kayo ng view doon sa sarili ninyo, kung paano ninyo nakikita yung sarili ninyo. Alright? So, since medyo nakikilala ninyo yung sarili ninyo, kung paano nyo nakikita yung sarili ninyo, kung meron ba kayo inferiority or superiority, or meron na ba kayong self-concept, di ba? Dumako naman tayo on how you value yourselves. So, self-worth is what we believe is our intrinsic value as an individual. So, which doesn't always accurately reflect who we are at the core and who we are willing to be. So, hindi porket mataas yung value natin sa sarili natin, yun na yung totoo. Di ba? Sa atin. The value that we place upon ourselves, depending yon sa upbringing ninyo most of the time, or natin. And whether you were brought up in a household where you were encouraged, or no one, or in one in which you are constantly put down. Di ba? So, ayan, nandyan ka na naman. Sige anak, gawin mo lang yan. Kahit na hindi naman masyadong maganda yung drawing mo, sasabihin ng nanay mo, ang ganda-ganda mo. Di ba? Kahit na hindi naman masyadong maganda yung ayos sa buhok mo, sasabihin ng nanay mo, anak, ang ganda-ganda mo ngayon. Or anak, ang pogi-pogi mo ngayon. Di ba? So, yun, yung value mo sa sarili mo. Yung self-esteem mo, nabuboost. Yung tiwala mo sa sarili mo, nabuboost. Yung value na binibigay ng sarili mo, nabuboost. Whilst meron namang mga bahay na parang lahat ng ginawa mong tama, mali pa rin. Or lahat ng ginawa mong the best mo, hindi pa rin sapat para sa kanila. Hindi na encourage. Or meron namang mga bahay na sinasabihan na yung bata ay failure, lampa, masama, bad, di ba? Meron tayong mga ganun. So your self-worth would always root from how you were brought up. Okay? So, minsan kasi nagkakaroon ng mga misconception that with therapy and psychotherapies na kagaya ng mga ginagawa natin is nagkakaroon ng bakit palagi tayong bumabalik dun sa pagkabata, di ba? Laging pinaprioritize yung self-esteem over self-worth, which is sa akin hindi. Sa amin. Bakit? Why? Because I believe that self-esteem is the product of self-worth. Alright? So for as long as the clients or for as long as you regard yourself as worthless, yung self-esteem niyo will remain at rock bottom. Okay? So self-esteem is the product of self-worth. Okay? So, our job or my job, I am here not to put value on you guys, not to put value on anybody, but to help you become aware that you sometimes, or we as human beings, sometimes undervalue ourselves. Okay? So, yung mga traits natin, we take for granted, we choose to ignore the more valuable side of us. Yes, we are imperfect individuals, but we have aspects of our lives that we excel, meron namang hindi, di ba? Meron tayong mga kayang gawin, meron naman tayong mga hindi kayang gawin. Okay? So, these are the questions for you to check on your self-worth. So, sabi nga nila, what do you believe is your intrinsic value? Example, what do you have to offer as an individual? Ano yung value mo talaga sa sarili mo na ano yung ma-share mo sa mga tao na na makapagbibigay ng value sa'yo, ng mataas na value sa'yo. Right? Next, how do you evaluate your value? Nakikita mo ba to? Ginagawa mo ba to? Or nararamdaman mo ba to at sinishare mo sa ibang tao? Or do you evaluate your value on how you receive things? Diba? Sabi ko nga, merong the one we receive and the one we give. Diba? So, para sa akin, diba, I see my value on how I contribute to life, to humanity, and to the people around me. That's how I see my value. Diba? I never put value on the things that I have. Kasi lumilipas yun eh. Diba? If you always put value on the things that you just receive from life, you are a receiver of life, walang masama doon. Walang masama doon. But, yun yung mga naibigay sa inyo, anytime pwede yang mawala. So, all you have to do is to check yourselves on what you can share, diba? Dito sa atin. Hindi naman kailangan malaki, hindi naman kailangan buong mundo, di ba? Anong ma-share mo sa community mo, sa family mo, sa mga kaibigan mo? How do you want to see them? Right? is the value that you give upon yourself. Na kaya kong tumulong, kaya kong maging mapagmahal, I could be the best friend that I could, 'di ba? Ito yung best friendship na mabibigay ko without any walls, without um pag-aalinlangan or something like that, right? Um, yun, ganun. Kung nakikita yung sarili ko. Do you believe that if you are great or do you have like great value or low value? Do you regard yourself as worthless? Can you identify why you feel worthless? Kung tingin mo sa sarili mo worthless, di ba? Bakit? And I need you to write down all the things about yourself that give you value. Are you caring? Are you honest? Are you creative? Etc. Write down all your positive traits. Lahat ng maganda sa sarili mo, isulat mo. Bakit? Because I need you to identify those positive traits that you've got. Those things that really, really, really value you. Okay? Next, can you make any improvements in your life about yourself which will add to your self-value? So, yun nga, dun nakaraang buwan, we tackled like be more, di ba? How you value yourself, how you see your self-worth, di ba? So, ano yung mga bagay for you to improve yourself? Yun nga sinasabi ko, magpataas kayo ng value. Kapag ka meron akong mga mga lalaki or mga babae na medyo nagkakaroon ng problema sa relationship nila, di ba? And then, they find themselves torn, they find themselves like, sila na lang yung nagmamahal, sila na lang yung inaabuso, nagkakaroon sila ng vicious cycle, di ba? I always tell them that you should check on yourself kung paano ka magpapataas ng value, di ba? Because how you see yourself, how you give, kung paano mo makita yung sarili mo or kung paano mo you give value to yourself, ganoon ka rin iba-value ng ibang tao. If you see yourself worthless, other people will see you as worthless and in turn, they will treat you as worthless. Pero if you give enough value to yourself, and then yung mga tao naman is nakikita nila na mataas yung value mo sa sarili mo, right? Ganun ka rin nila papahalagahan. Okay? So you can never demand from anybody the value that you want to be put upon yourself. But the way how you value yourself is always the way how other people will value you. Alright? So, yun yung self-worth. So, next is how can you change to start adding value to people's lives. Alright? So, tayo, paano natin matutulungan yung ibang tao to add value dun sa buhay nila? Okay? So, yun. Self-worth is really, really important, people. Okay? So, next is self-awareness. Pag sinabing self-awareness, right, this is where we acknowledge the part that we play in our own problems and allows us to acknowledge that what we actually want out of life. Diba? And who do we want to be? So, yun nga yung sinasabi ko. Diba? Minsan, we always focus on the problem, we always blame people, we always blame the circumstances kasi pinanganak ako masama, pinanganak ako mahirap, pinanganak akong kapos kami, pinanganak akong wala kaming ganito, kaya hindi ako nakapag-aral, di ba? But, hindi lang naman ikaw yung pinanganak na ganun. Hindi lang naman ikaw yung nagkaroon ng sakit. Lahat tayo nagkakaroon ng sakit, binapanganak. Lahat tayo pinanganak na walang alam, di ba? A clear slate, lahat tayo pinanganak na pantay-pantay, di ba? Others, meron silang pera, meron silang naipon, meron silang kayamanan, merong mayamang magulang, di ba? Pero it's not that. Di ba? What role did you play in the current situation of your life right now? Sabi nila, minsan pinanganak kami nakapuspalad, 'di ba? Meron din namang iba na pinanganak na walang-wala, pero nakaangat sa buhay. Anong ginawa nila? Anong kinaya nilang gawin? Anong pinagkaiba nila sa inyo doon sa mga tao na pinanganak din ng wala, pero nanatili lang sila doon? Merong pagkakaiba somewhere. Okay? So, doon din naman sa pagdating sa relasyon, 'di ba? Bakit ako hindi makatakas dito sa relasyon ko? Bakit ako palaging inaapi ng partner ko? Ba't ako palaging inaapi ng asawa ko? Bakit ako palaging inaapi ng magulang ko? What role did you play in the current situation of your life right now? Bakit kayo pumapayag? Lagi kong sinasabi is responsibility builds empowerment. Alright? So, when responsibility builds empowerment, ibig sabihin nun, you ask yourself, who owns this problem? Kapag ang problema nagkaroon ng may-ari, di ba? Meron nang magsosolve dyan. Stop blaming other people. You have, in everything that happened to you, you have a specific role to play. So what role did you play in the current situation of your life right now? People are autonomous and self-governing. Diba? Hindi mo pwedeng isisi sa ibang tao yung mga desisyon na ginawa mo o yung mga emosyon na nangyari sa'yo. Responsibility builds empowerment. Your feelings, your thoughts, your actions, your inactions are your responsibility. Okay? So awareness is about knowing what we want and what we don't want. Diba? Don't focus on the things that you want. Don't focus on the things that you don't want. Rather, focus on the things that you want. Where the focus goes, the energy flows. Diba? So, doon tayo sa talagang gusto natin. Ano talaga yung gusto mong marating? At kailan mo balak simulan, ano yung mga steps para makarating ka doon? At kailan mo balak simulan yung journey mo papunta ron? It doesn't matter if it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Ang importante, nagsimula ka na papunta ka doon sa goal mo. Okay? So, ito yung mga questions natin regarding self-awareness. How aware are you of your beliefs? At ano sila? Ano yung mga pinapaniwalaan ninyo? Tungkol sa sarili ninyo, tungkol sa ibang tao, di ba? Next, what are your beliefs about yourself right now? What assumptions do you have about yourself and other people? What do you find meaningful? Do you have meaningful relationships, di ba? Siguro ngayon, you always have to assess the quality of our relationships because again, the caliber of our lives would always depend on the caliber of the relationships that we keep. Okay? So, are those relationships superficial or are those relationships meaningful? At paano nyo malalaman yon? Okay? Can you identify your empowering beliefs? Saan kayo nagiging mas empowered? Diba? Can you identify those limiting beliefs na meron kayo? Pag sinabing limiting beliefs, ay yung mga paniniwala mo na humihila sa iyo palayo dun sa goal mo. Na hindi ko kaya, that I'm worthless, nakawawa ako, na wala akong alam, nabobo ako, 'di ba? So, those are some of the limiting beliefs that we have. So, ano yung mga limiting beliefs ninyo? What limiting beliefs had you brought with you from your childhood? So, meron tayong tinatawag na timeline of belief development. So, yun yung mga kung paano natin na-develop yung ating limiting beliefs, right? So, when you say that limiting beliefs, I will post a comment right below this video that will lead you to a link towards the timeline of belief development, yung lecture na yon, 'di ba? Kasi it's really really complicated to explain how beliefs are formed. Okay? So I would recommend for you to watch that link or that video, okay? Para maintindihan ninyo how our limiting beliefs form. Okay? So, yeah. Next is, what impression do you make on other people? And why do you do the things that you do? Bakit? How aware are you of how aware you are? Okay? So, yun yung mga tanong natin uh, sa ating sarili para naman makilala natin yung ating sarili. Alright? We cannot put value on something that we don't know. We cannot love someone that we do not know. Yeah? So, you have to be aware. Ano yung gusto mo? Makilala mo ng gusto yung sarili mo. Alright? Self-awareness comes first. Now, we can only research the ways we can amend ourselves once we are aware of our weaknesses. Okay? So, yung mga imperfections natin and yung ating mga weaknesses and yung ating mga pag-uugali, we should always be aware of that. So, after self-awareness comes self-knowledge. Okay? So, when you're reflecting and exploring yourself, looking at what you know about yourself in terms of the past, present, and future, you can now start putting pieces together. Oh, kaya pala ako ganito kasi ganito yung nangyari nung nakaraan ko. Kaya pala ako ganito kasi ganito yung nangyari nung grade 2 ako or grade 1 ako. 'Di ba? So, if you start putting those pieces together, we need those pieces for self-development. Self-knowledge is what allows you to understand how and why we function physically, emotionally, rationally, volitionally, and spiritually. Okay? So, ang activity natin dito is you will write your own life story the way you remember them. So, meron kayong past, present, and future. Alright? So, in your journal, hindi nyo kailangan gawin to like in an everyday, in one whole day, right? You can write it down, on 3 separate nights, like the present, right? An accurate description of where you are in life right now. Narating mo na ba yung gusto mo? Hindi mo pa ba narating yung gusto mo? Halfway ka na ba dun sa pagdating dun sa gusto mo? 'Di ba? Write about what's good in your life, who you are for other people, what you have, who you care about, and what you are grateful for. Okay? So, yun yung present yung tinatawag natin. So, after you write your present, okay, after you write your present, you can always write your future as well. Right? Let's not focus on the past anymore. Okay? Let's not focus on the past. The future is, what do you see in the future? Ano yung desired state mo? Ano yung pangarap mo? Diba? What you are excited about in your future and who you are willing to become for yourself and for other people. How can you become more grounded within yourself and yet to have a greater value for those people whom you work with, care about, and love. Diba? So, paano mo gustong maging? Ano yung desired state mo in the future? Okay? So, you have to ask your questions. Why? Why? Gusto kong makatapos ng pag-aaral. Why? Gusto kong magkaroon ng magandang trabaho. Why? Gusto kong makatulong sa magulang ko. Why? You have to know the root cause of your whys, all the whys. Your purpose. You should have, or we should have a purpose. Okay? If we have purpose in life and we have a vision, diba? Mas madali nating mararating yun. Okay? Now we have self-knowledge. I will tackle the last, which is self-beliefs, right? Our beliefs are invincible foundations we build our lives on. Okay? If we believe that we are worthless, we'll conduct ourselves as such. Diba sinasabi ko nga sa inyo, kung sa palagay mo, worthless ka, yun yung mapapakita mo sa ibang tao. Yun yung mag-radiate or mag-radiate na energy sa inyo that you are worthless. Like all those negative energies will radiate galing sa inyo, 'di ba? And other people will treat us as such. If you feel yourself as worthless, and you act worthless, and you always say that you are worthless, ganun din kayo itatrato ng ibang tao. Kasi ganun yung tinatrato yung sarili ninyo eh. If we believe that we're stupid, we'll be anxious before a test all the time. And if we believe that we're talentless, we will never try a new skill. Wala naman akong talent eh. Hindi bali na. Diba? So, in this last activity, okay, you can you can staggered watching this video, one activity to another, one question to another. Okay? So, ito yung mga questions ko regarding your self-belief. So, think of all the times that you say na I am in a day. And write down all those I am statements. I am loved, I am happy, I am sad, I am thoughtless, I am worthless, I am weak, I am poor, I am kawawa, I am pangit, right? You have to write, to be honest with yourselves. Wala namang ibang makakakita niyan eh. Kayo lang. But if you always want to share it with me, just send me a PM, Coach Poy, can we talk? Send me an email at lifecoaching.poydelara@gmail.com. Send me a WhatsApp message, Coach Poy, can we talk about my beliefs? Can we talk about what I feel right now? I will always respond to everyone and everybody. Just give me about 24 to 48 hours to respond. Minsan hindi ako nakaka-respond kagad. But we can always talk about it. All right? There's always somebody who's gonna listen. If you are a member of the One Life group, there are I've got 5 or 6 fabulous coaches na pwedeng sumagot sa inyong mga katarungan and walk you through these things. Diba? How many of those I am statements are negative? How many of those are positive? At alin yung mas matimbang doon? Ano yung ratio? Sa isang positive may 5 negative, or sa isang negative, may 5 positive. Diba? Against each I am statement, write down the evidence. Ano yung mga evidence ninyo based on those thoughts? You have to police your thoughts. What are the evidences that you are worthless? What are the evidences that you are talented? What are the evidence that supports your belief with yourselves? Right? How do you know that you are right about something? How do you know that you are right about feeling worthless? How do you know that you're right about feeling weak? Diba? Ano yung mga evidence? Ano yung mga evidence against it? Ano yung mga evidence for it? Okay? And how do you define yourselves? Dito tayo sa self-labeling, di ba? If you label yourselves as something na worthless, mahina, weak, loser, victim, yun lang yung energy na i-emit ninyo. Huwag kayong makontento doon. Diba? You can always be something more. Never, ever, ever settle for somebody that you're not. At lahat tayo, nakakasigurado ako, na lahat tayo is within ourselves, we have the capacity to change our lives for the better. Lahat tayo. Yun ang pinaniniwalaan ko. All you gotta do is to identify what the problem is. What would you rather have? What are the steps to go from your present state to your desired state? At kailan ninyo gagawin yun? Alright? If you need help with all those, you can always ask for help, and we'll walk you through the process. We can check. We always have the life balance workbook. We can check kung ano yung mga bagay na importante or not. Now, the Psychology of Self lecture is based purely on the lecture of the Academy of Modern Applied Psychology, which we are a member of. Okay? And you can always ask your questions, and let me help you or um, walk you through identifying or answering those questions with you. Again, if you are watching on replay, please comment hashtag replay, okay? And comment your comment suggestions. This will also be available in YouTube at the Poy de Lara page and the One Life group page and the close group. Okay. Next up is next topic for the following Sunday is the Human Givens Framework. So dito malalaman natin if I am receiving what I deserve. Okay? Kung ano yung mga requirement or basic requirements ng lahat ng tao. Hindi lang ako, hindi lang kayo, kung hindi lahat ng tao sa buong mundo. Again, I also want to take this opportunity. We will have an extra special live session on the 19th. I think it's a Saturday at 9 p.m. It's all about our participation or One Life Group's participation with the Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Ang title ng show or the episode na yon, which I will be doing with the One Life Group consultant Coach Rowie, is saan makikita ang pag-asa. Ituloy natin ang kwento ng buhay mo. Alright? So, this is gonna be for everybody. Again, it could do some triggers. So if you want to watch with somebody that could help you out doon sa mga pinagdadaanan natin, please do. And if you know somebody who needs help or who needs hope or who needs someone to talk to, please refer them to our page, the One Life Group page or the Poy de Lara page. All right. I'll see you again next week, guys. Have a good week ahead of you.